I'm pretty sure that it's known that that book has errors in it, and so I never went back to look at the code to try to figure out what was going wrong.
Okay.
And it's like, I mean, I didn't have the patience to do that back then.
Yeah, no kidding. No, it's a great book though, and I've learned an enormous amount from it, but I've got a ways to go. So
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's probably the best book. I mean, because I've been, as you know, the reason I traded with you is because I'm trying to build at least the largest library of Apple II books ever assembled. And
yeah.
so far, let me check my spreadsheet here. I've got uh-oh, something happened to my spreadsheet.
Hello, everybody, by the way. Hi.
Hello, Daniel.
Hi.
Okay.
Hello.
Oh, there it is.
I have to take this beard off. It's fucking itchy. Sorry about that.
I have 361. Wait a minute. That's not unique books, is it? Oh, yeah, wait. Yeah, that's unique books. 361 unique books, and that represents almost 55% of the Apple II books that I've discovered so far.
Okay, cool. So you do have like a total number, or at least an estimate.
Oh yeah, I'm keeping a
Awesome.
a spreadsheet of all the books that I found. So I have like a hit list, of what I still need to get. I still need to get, probably about 300 books. So my journey has a ways to go.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was getting to the point of bringing that up was that out of all the books I've gotten so far, and I have a lot of books on graphics, and none of them even touched that one, except for maybe the Pelzarski book, which I haven't looked into yet.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't
Marc
seen
Pelzarski. He wrote I forget what
he
it
was
called.
isn't he the Penguin software guy?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know.
Graphically speaking, Portrait of the Artist as a Young Apple by Marc Pelzarski. I don't even know what the hell that book is about, to be honest. I bought it and just put it on the shelf and didn't look at it because I'm going to do that sometime later. But anywho, but yeah, that's the Stanton book is pretty much the best that I know of, at least out of all the high-res graphics books that were put out. That's probably why it still remains popular to this day.
Yeah, no, it is definitely the way it's written. I mean, it's not just the topics. Lots of people cover those topics, but the way he wrote that book was really appealing. I think it definitely for me, and it sounds like for everybody else too. So
yeah, I haven't read it since I was a teen, so I don't know. Yeah. Well, hello, Mike, and hi, Micah. Glad you made it.
Yep, no problem. Merry Christmas. It's actually Christmas morning here.
Oh, okay. Well, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, this is Sunday morning.
Are you in Australia or New Zealand?
In New Zealand.
Or somewhere else? New Zealand. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Great. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. And the same to everyone.
Thank you. Hey, Sean.
I don't believe the video is going to work for me. I'm going to reboot my system and come back.
Hey, Lee made it. I'm going to try to turn on my video. Hopefully it doesn't look terrible.
Hey, it's Father Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah. My beard isn't so scratchy though.
Yeah. Hey, Lee.
So hey, Lee.
Hey, everyone.
Congratulations on the Tetris release. That's awesome.
Thanks. thanks for all the help testing it.
Yeah, sure.
All the feedback.
Yeah, I'm sorry I wasn't able to provide more, but yeah, that was fun.
It was great. I think getting little sort of small feature requests, minor nudges, small fixes, like it all added up. So super glad that it's done.
Yeah, I can imagine. Did anyone else ever find the Easter eggs?
No.
No one's mentioned it.
Huh.
It's in the source code though. If you look in
Easter
the input .asm file, you'll
Oh,
see
okay.
the
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to look at that yet.
yeah.
Should we tell everyone here?
Yeah.
As a well, do you want to know how? Okay. So let me see if I can remember. When you go to the credits, right? Or no, it's when you leave the game. Or no, I can't remember. You'll have to tell me.
Oh, so
So Lee gave me one hint
there
though
was-
that gave it away, and I'm surprised more people didn't get it after that. But anyway, go ahead and tell them.
Oh yeah, so actually, I think I know the Easter egg you're talking about. That one actually did go away. I didn't have RAM. I ran out
okay.
of room. There
Bummer.
was one Easter egg though. When you escaped out of the title screen, it would drop you back to the Applesoft prompt, and then if you
Right.
did a list, it actually pokes in like a Applesoft program that's a bunch of remark statements that have the original credits to the original Game Boy Tetris developers. So yeah, I ran out of space for that, but I did end up jamming all those credits onto like a splash screen when you launch the game. And then the other Easter egg is actually the one
So
that
you're saying you took out the one where you press escape and type list? That one's gone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But the other one, which you actually helped brainstorm around, is
yeah. I remember that one.
yeah, you can enter like a glitch mode. So while you're playing the game, every time it makes a sound effect, the whole screen sort of glitches out. And if you hit Control G on the level select screen, it'll start the game in that mode.
It'll do what?
It'll start the game in that sort of glitch mode if you hit Control G from the level select screen.
Oh, okay. I'll have to remember that. I haven't tried that yet, I don't think. At least I can't remember.
Yeah, you contributed to that thread. I think it was Atnas or Atanas had originally suggested that.
Atanis? Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his name. All right, does anybody have anything cool to show off?
I think actually Michael would like to talk about his thing that he produced this year, which is actually Ringoban. I'm not sure if anybody's heard about it or have played it, but it's a lovely game. Well, as I say, I just hand over to him really, because I'd like him to talk about it if he can. Michael?
Yep.
Mike? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I can do that if people are interested.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's not a lot there to do. I just wondering, how do I share a screen on this one?
I think I have to allow you that, so just hang on a second. Multiple testers. So. Yeah, there we go. You should be able to share now.
So what do I have to do in my end?
If you look,
Mouse over the Zoom screen, and then at the bottom you'll see a green icon in the very center of the toolbar.
Yeah. Share screen. Got it. Yep. If it had teeth, it'd bite me, as they say. Yeah. Well. Okay. Yeah.
Michael,
just
show you my Ringoban list. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Not much to start. Sokoban's always been a favorite game of mine, and I always knew it had been written in BASIC, and then I'd always wanted to write my own one because I had a couple on the Apple II. There was a game called Shove It by some Peter Brinkley, I think, which annoyed me a little bit because he didn't give too much credit to Sokoban, even though he took all the levels. And then there was another one, Simple Sokoban, and that used the mouse text. And I thought, gee, that looks really neat, but it was 80-column screen, and I didn't much like it. But I thought, that looks a really neat idea. And then, it just sort of started from there. And then I saw someone else, and then Gary, I think, was writing a version on GitHub, but I don't think he's ever finished it. But yeah, so I decided to sort of start doing my own. And I wrote it and it worked, and I put it out there, and it was picked up by the Apple user group. But unfortunately, there was a major bug in the original version that I put out, which actually looks rather cool in some ways, but in other ways it's a bit of a nuisance. So I'll just move over to that. And here's the, can you see the screen?
No, we can't see the screen, Michael, at the moment. Are you
Okay.
sharing it?
Oh, hang on. Here it is here.
I don't think you shared your
Yeah,
screen
this
yet.
one. Yep. How's that?
No, no.
And we should still see you.
We can still see you.
When-
Right.
At the
when you
bottom
press
of
the
picture
share-
there,
Oh,
there's
hang on.
an
Share.
arrow.
There we go.
Got it.
See it. Yeah.
Looks like you're on a GS.
Yeah, I think this is. I
Yeah,
think
it
this is
is.
the one. Anyway, this. So yeah, it comes up like this. Looks good. This is only under emulation, but watch what happens. You know, sort of everything works fine. Now I'll go up, and then push up again, and then undo, and that worked fine.
Yeah.
All good. Now I'll go left and right, and I'll go right again, and then push undo. Oops. Yeah, and that stymied me for a bit because I thought I had it. And anyway, so I had to go back and do something to the code, and that was rather fun because when I went back to do it, now, hang on, have I lost everybody or something?
No, we're here.
No. Okay, so I had to go back to the original one, and then I want to now stop sharing, and oops, I'll stop sharing this screen and then share another one.
Michael, you wrote all this. Is it okay if I just ask you something? You wrote all this in Applesoft, is that right?
Yeah, it was totally in Applesoft. There's no assembly language, nothing, just pure Applesoft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really clever. I like it. It's such a good game. I play it all the time, actually. It's a good game.
Okay, now escape 8. So to solve the problem, yeah, here's the program listing. It's at full speed, I must admit, but yeah, it was there. Okay. As you can see, I've got a few more levels here.
Yeah.
200. Where's the? It's to 499.
Oh yeah, I can do that.
That's to.
Yeah, I forgot you could do that. That's a good trick to
Yeah.
know.
So this was my solution to the problem, that line there, which is probably the most complicated line in the whole program. And really annoyed me because it was so complicated, because when I first wrote the game, I remember learning BASIC from typing in programs, mainly from Nibble magazine, and sort of saying, now what happens if I change this, or that looks a really neat piece of code, so I'll copy it into this, and so on. And so when I wrote this game, I was rather hoping that if I put it out there, people might look at it and say, oh, I can use bits of that, or that looks neat, or how did he do that? What happens if I change this? So I had to check everything. The hard part was that I read the levels into a string array, and then that remains constant. By the way, I'm going to be putting this up on the 8-Bit Shack as a freebie. I haven't got around to it yet because I'm still writing the technical notes, and I want to put those up with it. But basically, the level is read in from a text file as into a string array, and then I mirror the string array into a numeric array. The numeric array holds values depending on whether it's a wall, space, target, box on target. I don't need a special code for the player, and I don't need a code for the player on target, because once the player is detected and we're reading in the array, that merely gives us the horizontal and vertical tab. Using the graphics screen or using the text screen means I can use the H tab and V tab all over the place. A guy named Jim Geary wrote a version for the Commodore, but I think he accesses absolute screen positions, which I think is simpler to do on the Commodore than it is on the Apple. I tried looking at screen positions and gave it up. Too complicated. H tab and V tab works much better, much faster. So once I've got the H tab and V tab values, then a move up, down, left, right. It's either subtract or add one to the vertical tab and to the horizontal tab. And if you're moving in a direction, one of them gets modified, the other one stays the same. If you're moving up or down, then vertical tab is modified, horizontal tab stays the same, and so on. So it actually simplifies things doing it that way. But my concern with the bug was that I had to check where the simplest solution to solving the bug was to actually, I use a flag Z for undo. If it's a move, it's trivial. You just move the player back one. And if it's a push, it's a little bit more complicated because you've got to move the player and the box, and then you've got to decide whether or not you're moving from a target to a target, off a target, on a target, all that kind of stuff. And if I just set the flag that if you move twice in the same direction illegally, if I tried to set the flag to 0 so you couldn't undo, that meant the player, it was messy. So I solved it this way. The other thing that hit me was in the original version, I was very proud of myself for finding the length of the file by using the open, append, close, or read the file length, close, and then thought, gee, that's a pretty neat trick using the append to get the end of file. And it wasn't until only a few weeks ago, actually, that it suddenly struck me that how stupid I was. Because when I did a catalog of the disk, the Prodos catalog gives me the file length. So I switched the program around so that now I'm working on version 1.5, which simplifies things a lot in terms of getting the file length. One thing I haven't cracked, and I don't know if there is a solution, is I would love to be able to load in a whole single text file and just grab the part of there that has the level. At the moment, every level is its own text file. And because they're all different lengths, I can't use a random access file. So I just wish there was, maybe someone out there has got a solution where I can load in the whole, just a single text file with 50 or so levels in it, and then just grab the level you want. If
You're running under ProDOS, Mike?
Really clean things up.
Is this running
Sorry?
under ProDOS, Mike?
Running out of?
Is it running under ProDOS?
Oh yeah, running under ProDOS, yeah.
Okay, so what you can do is you can beload the text file and then append a parameter txt. So the type, you specify the type. So you'd be like beload text file, comma txt, because the t parameter specifies the file type, and then comma like a string 6000 or wherever you want to load it, and it'll load it as a binary into memory.
Yeah, it loads it as a binary, but then I've got the problem of finding exactly where in memory level 2 starts as opposed to level 4, which is solvable, I'm sure. But you'll
have to create some kind of lookup table for that then. Either it'll automatically generate, or you just after you're done with the text and finalized it, then you just manually go through and find the addresses where everything starts and build a lookup table.
Yeah, so then I could just beload the text file and then have another text file with the lookup table on it, and just load that, and then that gives me the lookup values. Or
you could do it that way, or you could put you can maybe put data statements in the program
Yep.
and read the addresses
Oh
from
yeah,
the
yeah.
data. Yeah.
The data statements one would work if I only ever
That might
had
be
one
cleaner
level.
too, because that'll allow you to edit them a lot easier.
Yeah, but as you can see with this version, which is version 2, as opposed to version 1, I actually have a whole lot more levels, folders. I got 14 level folders here.
How
Whereas
many
the
levels
version-
are there now, Michael? How many
Sorry?
levels are there up to now? How many have you made?
Well, the original extra's got 90. Warehouse has got 372.
Bloody hell. That's quite a lot. Yeah.
Perfect's got
Only up to 15, I think.
306. So yeah, I've actually got a lot of levels,
Yeah.
but every single one is its own text file. It's taken me a while,
Wow.
but yeah,
It's
Yeah,
a late
so-
book, really, isn't it? Kind of.
So
It's a
I'm not
little bit
familiar with this game. I'm sorry, Dan. I'm not familiar with this game at all. I mean, it looks like Dungeon, but I don't get the interface of,
Oh,
undo
right,
and all
okay.
that. Could you explain it?
Okay, yeah, for sure. Okay, here's level 1. The idea is that you're the player, and you've got to move all of these boxes, little apple symbols, onto the onto the levels there, onto the targets.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it can get rather complicated. That's a fairly simple level.
It can
So
get
once the
complicated.
apple is solid, it can't be moved anymore.
Yeah.
Once it's on the target, you can move it off if you like. But then you
Okay.
get a level that's a little bit more complicated.
Wow. Yeah, I'd never seen this game before. I don't think this is really cool.
It really is cool, actually, Sellam. You need to play this one. It's a good
Yeah,
one.
it's a great, it's just like one of those strategy games. It's like Tetris or
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gems.
it's been around for a while, but mine is a clone of the original. Yeah.
It works
I'm
very
shocked.
smoothly too.
I'm shocked
Is
Sellam,
this-
you haven't played this.
It's running pretty fast at the moment because it's running under
Is it on the-
regulation. But
You played
As
this
I say-
one,
okay.
right?
but yeah,
So do you have the
quite fun.
clock sped up on this or something, or is this how it would normally?
It's running under kegs, so it's unlimited speed at the moment.
Oh,
But
okay.
if I slowed it down to 1 megahertz, there is a little bit of lag in it. Yeah. But
Well, I was going to say, if that
it
if
is
statement, that
playable, but-
monster if statement that you had is going to be running every cycle of the program, then that's going to, bog it down quite a bit in itself.
Okay. Let's bring it down to
Did I see somewhere that
bring it down to
you
1
compiled this?
megahertz.
That you can do what?
Sorry.
Did I read somewhere that you compiled this? So there's a compiled version?
Oh yeah. I have compiled it as well. This is running at 1 megahertz now, and as you can see, it's a lot slower. But yeah, if you run it through Beagle compiler, it runs pretty good even at 1 megahertz. Yeah. I did try to optimize the code. It annoys me that people say this language is structured, that language isn't structured, because it depends on how good the programmer is. And if the programmer writes as structured, like you put your subroutines together and you have single inputs, single parts, entry points into subroutines and all that kind of stuff, you can put structure onto any language you like. And that's what I've tried to do here, of course, is to make it so that putting all
The structure is more
Yeah.
for code maintenance. Whereas if you're
Yeah.
putting a program on an Apple II and Applesoft Basic, you can't make it formally structured because it's going to be
No.
the performance is going to take a hit. So you're really coding for performance as opposed to code maintenance when you're on when you're doing a game like this.
Yeah, you really want.
So you're not necessarily gonna, you might have some ugly spaghetti code maybe, or you know, when I write basic programs these days, I tend to be, you know, I tend to have the whole program in my head already when I start out. So it kind of when it comes out, you know, I just tend to write it pretty efficiently. But where it counts, and I try to make it, you know, not formally structured, but pretty close to it. You know, I make it so that I can come back later on and figure out what I was doing, right? Because
Exactly.
that's kind of, you know, one of the more important things these days. But at any
Yeah.
rate, there are some places where, you know, you just have to break those rules because you want it to, you need the speed. So
Yeah, that's that's right. And as you say, coming back to look at it later on is the important thing. You know, how did I do that, and why did I do it that way when I should have done it this way, kind of thing. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, I don't know what more there is to say about it. It was a kind of a fun project to do, and it's yeah, and it's, as I say, it gives me a bit to do. I'm retired from my main job, so hey, it's fun.
yeah, it's
Now, I
very
don't know
neat.
what
You need to make a
Yeah,
level editor now too, so people can make their own levels.
Yep, you can make your own levels with any text file, or you can download them. The only restriction is, on the screen I've got, is you're limited to 22 wide, 32 deep.
Oh,
Whereas you can get much larger levels than that. And if you go onto the web and look for levels on Sokoban, you'll find levels that are 100 wide and 100 deep kind of thing, which obviously wouldn't fit here. But you could write your own levels, and any word processor that will save a text file will do it.
and then you just draw it basically as the level started out. You put the apples and the dots and whatever, and then the parser figures out what's where when it loads the level.
Basically, yes. Let me get out of here. Quick, we will know. Okay, get out of here. I'm still on 1 megahertz. It's got to speed unlimited. Okay. Original. That's what a file looks like. That's level 1 as a text file. And as you can see, there's the hash symbol for the walls, the dollar symbol for the apple, and a dot or a period for the target, and the @ sign for the player. So that's level 1, and that level the other level I was doing, level 48, I was just doing before. Bit more complicated. Looks like this. Yeah.
Hmm.
But
And
yeah,
so
anything that
so
was
this
generated.
sorry, Mike. This is what you want to preload into memory?
Yeah, all these, because it would be better, it would be much neater and faster to load the whole levels.
I think you need like a line of numbers, actually, really, you know, rather than all the symbols. I've done a similar thing actually with an awful lot of my games, you know, where a wall is a number 2, or a target is a number 3, etc. But in a sort of a line, if you know what I mean, like, so obviously 3, 2, 1, da, 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 as opposed to the symbols. Are you actually reading all the symbols and sort of making them into values, or how are you doing that?
Okay, what I'm doing, let's get out of here. Oh, hang on, it's an easier way.
So you were saying each of those screens is 22 by 32? Each of the levels?
No, that's
rooms,
the maximum possible. Some of them, what I do is, if it's smaller than that, I've got a little routine written in there that will center it on the screen, vertically and horizontally.
Okay.
That's just for purely for cosmetic purposes.
So what's the largest? So do you do any
32
scrolling then if the room is
32.
larger than that window?
It would, I don't know, it would just do nasty things like crash probably.
Oh, okay. So you keep the room. What's the largest room you have?
32 by 22.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
32. Yeah.
Oh, 32 horizontal. Okay. So, well, what I'm thinking is that's probably going to be too much to load into memory, especially, with basic variable space and all that. So 32 by
Yeah.
22, that's 640 maybe or something like that, bytes. And you're looking at
Yeah.
however many rooms per level. How many rooms do you have in the largest level?
372, but it doesn't have to be that many. It could be
Okay.
it could be cut down to 100 or 50 or even.
But even then, I mean, you're looking at each level is about a half a K of text, actually a bit more. And so
You have to allow a
every
maximum 32 by 22. That would be your maximum.
of characters for each room.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Most of
just
them
too
are
much
smaller.
memory. That's just too much memory. So what I'm going to
So wouldn't
suggest
you-
is that
Wouldn't you have like a binary, for every room? If you know what I mean, Sellam, is that not the easiest way to do this?
well, that's what I'm suggesting that might do, which is to pre-compile or not before every game, but like still use the text files for source of the room layout, but then I would compile it. I would create a binary file from the text and then store that in memory, because then you can be much more efficient. But you still have to make it so that you don't have to you can't really pack too much data together like per byte, because of course in BASIC it's not as easy to split bits out of a byte. But I think that would probably be the way to go, and that way you can fit more levels into memory at the simultaneously.
You probably still couldn't fit like a whole 100 in there with all of
No, I
basics
don't. No, not at all.
requirements. But you could fit quite a lot. I was thinking each character in the level, if you track the player position separately as just a pair of coordinates, then everything else could probably be handled with 2 bits each. If you've got 4 different, if you've got empty space, wall, and 2 kinds of apple, if that's how we're, I don't know if there's more than that.
Well, you
but
have the
if that is-
player also.
Right, but I said you could do the player separately as a pair of coordinates at the start of the level button.
Sorry. Yeah, right.
And then you've only got 2 bits per item if it is limited to those 4 things. And you could pack quite a lot into, I mean, you'd be talking about 4 objects per what right now is 1. Yeah, I guess that's about a 25%.
And just like you could store the player start position as a pair of coordinates, you could add a bunch of other metadata like the maximum width and the actual width and height of the level, because it's a little bit of a sparse matrix right now. You have a lot of black, sort of like negative space. So you could just sort of define the bounds as part of the data.
For sure.
And
But you're still not going to get everything into memory. But you could do, I don't know, you could probably do like 50 levels at a time or something, and then at least you're like slurping in a big chunk of them.
Yeah, the weight states are much smaller, or rather, the weight state's probably a little bit larger, but it's fewer and far between.
A lot depends on how much memory the basic program itself needs, of course, because it generally needs a lot. But
hey, Mike, this is super cool. I have a question. Are you doing cross development? Like, are you coding on the modern operating system and then copying and pasting that into kegs, or how are you actually writing your software?
Well, no, actually, I've got a 2GS desktop, but I do most of the work I'm doing actually is on emulation, either Sweet 16 kegs or Virtual 2. But yeah, I'm basically starting and finishing in Applesoft, because that's what I'm pretty familiar with. Modern operating systems, I know how to install them and uninstall them and do a little bit of tweaking here and there, but not too much more. Yeah. yeah, Applesoft. Yeah, so yeah. So yeah.
Very
The
cool.
big
How
thing
big is the
about
program
loading
right
it
now?
in, sorry,
How
what am I
big is the
working on?
program right now?
How much?
H-
Sorry,
How
am I-
large is the program? I'm sorry if I'm not coming in.
Oh, whoops. At the moment, it's about 16 blocks.
New dot
It's-
start.
Sorry.
How many? Yeah, how many lines is it? I'm curious.
Oh, hang on a second. Let
16
me
blocks. That's 32 sectors. So yeah,
let me
it's
do a new
fairly
share.
large. Basic program.
I'll share this one. Whoops, wrong one. OneDrive. This is the main program here. So broken up. Yeah, it starts at 10, but then jumps through to 100. So how many lines in total? I've not. Yeah.
Oh, we're seeing a folder right now that you're sharing, Mike. This is Ringoban original.po and Ringoban v1.5 compiled.po.
Sneeze.
It's a listing of your disk images.
What sneeze?
Yeah. Yeah, so when I put it up there, I'll put an original non-compiled one up there as well, so that people can list it and see they can go for it. Yeah. But yeah, so the actual part of the program where it introduction, center the level. Yeah, this is where it displays it, displaying the level here on line 1450. And then a whole lot of if and conditional statements as to which one it is. And line 1530.
So sorry to interrupt. Can you understand? Can you all understand me now?
Yep.
Okay, I'm seeing the folder of files on my screen. Is everybody else
Yeah, mine
seeing
as
that
well.
too?
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, you're not sharing you're sharing the wrong screen right now, Mike.
Okay. Sorry. How's that?
There we go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
here's the program listing. And here's where it actually reads in the file. And then once it's read it in the string array here, it then goes through and converts it into the numeric array. So that when the player moves, I then have to check to see whether it's moving onto a wall and trying to move into a wall, which is illegal. Trying to push two pieces at once, which you can't do, or whether it's just moving onto a wall or a space. And then I have to reference the string array to update the display. Yeah, the logic is actually quite simple. It's just a pain writing it, and then you're one step at a time.
All right. So how many lines total is it then?
Well, in terms of if I renumbered it from original, I don't know. I'm probably a couple of hundred. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good sized program.
Yeah. Yeah, here's
Very
the
cool.
yeah, this is the last bit I've added, the select the levels folder, which I haven't put out there yet, but that actually adds into it and lets you select the levels folder as opposed to just having the one level folder, which is what the game that I've thrown out there at the moment has only one set of levels. But it is possible to add a lot more, but then you need disk space, so it has to fit onto a 32 megabyte image.
Hey, do me a favor, Mike, go back to that section of code we were looking at where you were checking the reading in the file.
Okay. You read the level here.
I wanted to make a
Here's where you
suggestion.
read the level. Now I've already got the length of the file from the when I initialized the when I did a catalog of the disk, and I've already got the file names. Yeah, and then this just reads in the text file here, puts it into a string array, centers it vertically and horizontally, and then displays it.
So I wanted to focus on lines 1470 and 1480 and point
Yep.
out that, you know, you're doing the same comparison twice, which
Right, because in the mouse text, the wall symbol is actually two. If I use the same symbol all the time, it doesn't look as pretty. So
I got it. Yeah, right.
If the horizontal tab is even, then I use one of the mouse text symbols. If it's odd, I use the other one, and that makes it look pretty.
Well, here's what I would suggest for that. I mean, because like if you have stuff like this throughout the code, especially in the main loop, that's what'll, you know, if you can eliminate things like this, you can make it run faster. So my suggestion there would be to make a array string. So make W an array, W string an array.
Yeah.
And then you would do print W string, and then, you know, just some variable, like let's just say, you know, n. And then after that, you would say n equals not n. So you're basically flipping it back and forth between 1 and 0, 1 and 0. So then you make W string 0 be the one pattern, mouse text pattern, and you make W string 1 be the other. Does that make sense?
It does, and it would work, and that would work perfectly well. The only thing is, and it would be worth doing, but the thing is that at the moment the walls are only drawn once, and once they're drawn, that's it. They're never changed.
Okay.
The only ones that change are the floor, because you can move things across the floor, the boxes which move from place to place. The targets don't change but all they do is indicate whether the box is open or solid. And this is a box. This is an initial box on target. And then the player symbol changes again for exactly the same reason as the there, and at the right, and yeah, just to flip back to the start here, line 100 is the same logic. The player symbol, depending on whether that gives you the animation again, and if it's an even number of turns, then the player is one symbol. If it's an odd number of turns, it's the other symbol. And again, I could just write that as if, yeah, and then just flip it back and forward from 0, but I've done it this way. And again, that's done every move, so that would be a bit of a slowdown.
Yeah, so I'm just pointing that out to suggest that, I mean, you definitely want code readability, but for a game like this, where, you know, if you have to run it on an emulator at unlimited speed in order to, you know, make the gameplay tolerable, those are the kinds of things that you would optimize in order to, you know, eliminate.
Yeah, as I say, so this one is done every time. Line 100, 110. That goes for the player, and then this is a routine that gets the keystroke, and then depends what happens. Up, down, left, right. If it's up, the vertical changes by 1, horizontal stays the same. Down, vertical +1, horizontal 0, and then process the move here. The first thing I have to do is check that it's not trying to do the headbutt move that introduced the bug. And then the Z flag, that's for undo. I need this for the undo. So if it's a move, you just move the player. Move is move +1, and then there. Readability, these lines here could all be, I could halve the number of lines here by combining them.
Yeah.
But I've left it, so I left it separate. Instead of like 440, then 460, then 480, then 500, I could just put line 440 on the end of here.
I suppose it all down there, really, Michael. If you could put it all into one line. I mean, I've learned this. I'm no expert or anything like that, but as much as you can put things into one line, then it will help it, you know, with the speed and things. So
Right.
doing really, yeah.
Yeah, because every time you do a go-to, it's got to do a big long
from the
lookup.
beginning of the program. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's got to start counting from the beginning every time. Yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would obviously be a place where it could be optimized quite a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I would suggest just continue doing what you're doing, and then when you're at a point where you want to make, like a release version, to then go through and optimize.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's kind of a laborious process, but
yeah.
it would be, you maintain your readability and also have the optimization.
It's already
running it through the compiler increases the speed and reduces the lag. So all I really have to do for speed is just compile it.
Yeah,
that's
a
good point.
If I want to show people, the brilliance of what I've done, then I need to show them the code, and then that's when you need to optimize it for speed. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we're looking at it and saying, you could do this and do that, but if you play the game and you don't even know about the code or anything, you'll just go, "Oh, this is really good." Like, because I say I play it all the time, so well done, Michael. It's a really good game.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's very
well
cool.
written. Well written.
Yeah, I must admit, I didn't invent the game. I just implemented on Applesoft.
I thought you did.
No. It's a clone of an original back in the 1980s.
Yeah, I remember.
Very
good. Very
nice implementation.
Well, thank you anyway, Michael, and thank you for talking about it, because that was really informative and very fun. Does anybody else have anything to talk about? Oh, there's Mark. Look, hi, Mark.
Yeah, Mark showed up.
Hello.
I've got something, but I have to go do something real quick so somebody else can do it.
I was kind of hoping William was here. Have you got a way to contact him at all, Sellam?
Bonner?
Yeah.
I think I have his email address. That's the best I could do.
Yeah, because he said he was going to come on and talk about one of his computers.
Okay.
But
I will.
He's worked out.
As soon as I get back, I'll email him.
All right, mate.
I just have to go help my dad with something real quick. I'll be right back.
Okie dokie. Mark, have you got anything to talk about? Maybe 8-Bit Shack, 8bitshack.org. You know you want to talk about 8-Bit Shack, don't you? He does. Look at him; he's full of it.
There's not so much to talk about. Some people really wanted to get some Christmas presents this year, so this was a nice load of work to do. What I have been setting up the last couple of months is like I was thinking about that there is no floppy disk service out there. So for people who want to get software on real floppy disk, there's still a demand out there.
Am I okay to share my screen, Mark, and I'll put
Yeah.
the website up and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You keep talking about it, mate. I'll
Yeah. And so first of all, let's say how this idea emerged is the following. We produced the game Witch Trial, and we were in serious discussions with the staff at Call-151 that we might publish the game Witch Trial on a real disc with a box and a manual, and there were lots of preparations going on, and at the end, maybe you know that there's a book what you can buy, but it never came to happen that Call-151 really produced the boxed game as we wished it to be. And so with Angry Birds, we were thinking about if people were maybe interested in getting a physical copy of the game. And so we decided to publish it on our own. And now finally I have, where is the list? I just have a look here how many discs we have sent out so far. Yeah, it has been 73 copies of Angry Birds have been produced and sent to collectors. Yeah, and Apple.
Oh, nice.
Apple folks who really like to have it, and had contact. I had contact to some of those guys. They really they collect almost everything, and they like to have software on real floppy in their stash. So we served quite a lot of people, and so since there was quite a bit of a request of these floppy disks, we decided to set up a small floppy disk service, which works over the website 8bitcheck.org, and to finance all that stuff and also the shop backend we have there, we decided to try to sell 8 titles, which we have identified from the humongous dump we have gathered over the last couple of years of more or less finished projects. And so we pimped up 8 projects and made them sellable. And so I'm offering floppy disks for 6 games, 1 demo and 1 tool. And among the 6 games is also Angry Birds and Witch Trial. And Witch Trial is the only product we offer on 3.5-inch floppy disk. And additional to that, we have made a web shop backend with Elo page. This is a German, what's it called, enterprise, which supports delivery of digital assets to customers. And there's a small shop, as you can see there. We offer quite a range of our stuff for free, and we have some stuff which you can download digital, so you can produce your own floppy disk. It contains the digital disk, it contains the manual in PDF, the disk sleeve is provided in PDF format, also the label. So if you really like, you can print everything your own and glue it all together, as I do for the real physical floppies. And yeah, and there are some screenshots also in the packages. So if you, and at the moment we have sales, Christmas sales, so everything is 50% off. So these prices, as you can see, they are the regular prices. So, but you can get the game now for €4. So, and some people use that at the moment and download the digital stuff for half of the price. And so with the cash generated here, I'm paying off the service and the hosting costs. And I have also had requests now from guys who just want to have their games on real floppies. So I have these, maybe you can see this, these are unbranded old new stock floppies with white disc sleeves, which are in a neutral form. And I'm offering people to copy their stuff on those floppy disks as just as a disk service, because not everybody has the possibility, as I have found out. We have ADT Pro, we have floppy emus, but there's still some people who don't have the capabilities to produce their own floppy disks. So this is like a service to the community. There are not high numbers at the moment, but there are some people out there who like to have, yeah, real floppies. And
Mark, do you mean for their pirated games, any games, or for the things that they're actually writing?
for disk images which are available on Asimov, for example. So
Okay,
some people want to have
So-
karateka on disk. Okay, well, I know it's maybe it's still a copyright issue, yeah, but
oh no, I wasn't bringing that up. I was just
Yeah.
using that as a way to describe. I thought you were, I originally, when I saw that on your website, I thought the service was for people who are writing their own games and want them to
yes,
be
Well, it is.
released.
it
It
is.
is. It is that primarily.
It's that and also just for people who just don't have the ability to write their own floppies. I get it now.
Exactly, Sellam. And I don't think it's an issue if these things are available on the internet anyway. He's not.
No, I'm not making the, I don't
Not
care.
sort of making any money on it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's very little people,
Yeah.
protecting their Apple II software copyrights these days.
And the idea was also that if somebody has a game and wants to publish it on real floppy, I would provide a service to support. So Dan is our designer. He designs great labels and stuff. In my opinion, he's one of the greatest living Apple II designers.
I agree.
Of course.
He's doing a brilliant job. I'm just a coder. I can't design. I can't do this. But then he's the guy. So if really somebody wants to publish something on physical floppies, we can help. Produce labels, produce disk sleeves. It's all handcrafted at the moment, but I think the quality is okay. So,
What are you guys going to be charging for the service? Like, how does the charging structure work? I guess
the charging structure can be found on the website, and
okay.
there's a floppy on demand or something page I set up, and if you really want to do your individual stuff, and I don't know what amount of floppies we are talking about. If somebody wants just to have 10 physical copies of his game to give it away or something like that, this can always be discussed on the side of the costs. These floppy disks are, let's say, there's only one source at the moment. You can buy from eBay, but these are some are new old stock, but most of them are branded like Fujifilm or anything else. But these are really unbranded discs, and they are harder to get, so they are quite expensive at the moment. And we're talking about 4 euros for a disc, approximately. We're buying it. And then you have if you want to have your own unique sleeve, it takes me about, let's say I take 10 minutes to cut and glue a sleeve. So, but I need to print it. I need to cut and glue it, and I need to copy the disc. I need to put the label on it. I need to print the label. So Dan is delivering what's it called, the layout of the labels, but I need to set it in my on my form and print it and try it and glue it. So it takes about, let's say, 10 to 15 minutes to produce a floppy disk, including testing on my real hardware if it really works. Because some of those old floppies, they just can't be written properly. I'm using Applesoft for doing that. But let's say about 5% of those disks have read and write errors. Okay. So I really have to test them and make sure that they really work. So far, I have only one complaint, that the post from Herbert Fung in Canada, that the post has bent his floppy disk, but there has not been any complaints so far about the quality of the disks. So, because I'm sorting out those disks which are not working. So you can say it's about 15 minutes working time for me to produce a floppy disk.
Yeah.
Plus the material, plus postage and packaging, and that's it. The price at the end. So we try to break that down and write it on the website to have what's it called, an idea of how much it would cost to produce your own series. It's not a cheap task nowadays. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, that's...
Have you tried to get quotes from a local printer to see how much it would cost to outsource the sleeves? To make the sleeves? I think
I have not tried that. to make to get a printer really to make that, you know, the sleeves, cutting and gluing them. I have not quoted that at the moment, no.
Oh, but the print shops work in big numbers, so
Yeah.
it's probably not convenient at this stage.
Well, I'm wondering if you can, you know, order like 500 of them at one time, which would make it, you know,
Yeah.
a reasonable size project for
Mhm.
them. Probably a minimum size, and then you would have sleeves for half a year, maybe. And you
Basically,
would
I
probably find that
have
economical.
I can order. I have white sleeves here, so but these are standard paper neutral sleeves. But the sleeves I'm talking about are the wait a minute here.
Yeah, the ones for your.
Maybe you can see this. You can't see this. Wait, I
It's
have
very
to
blurry for
switch
some
off
reason.
my blurring off.
Is that the one that has like the little this? Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, you can. How many different designs are there like that on the sleeve?
Daniel is designing it for every game. He's designing us.
Well, because I think you could just, you know, the print shop could handle. I think, you know,
Yeah.
I would look into it. I bet you could you'll find out that you could actually do it. It would be a lot more economical than you hand doing it, you know.
We are setting up a shortcut from the HTTP address for the web address. I'm creating a
Right.
subdomain, and Daniel is creating the label, and we have the same font here. And on the backside, there's branding from 8-Bit Jack on the backside.
Yeah.
And so this is a high quality cardboard paper I'm using from HP, extra white. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm printing it at home on my laser. I've got a big color laser jet here, and I'm printing it on this, on this machine.
How are you cutting it?
I have a paper cutter.
Okay.
It's all handwork, so I need to really aim and look. But
Right.
you get trained to do that.
So, because I did the same thing after you were doing it, I started to experiment myself.
Yeah.
And so you can see the lines, which are, you know, where to cut, and
Yeah.
it's real faint on the side, but they're there. And then there's mustard stains over here and stuff. But then I used, you know, to have the backside and stuff. And so I'm going to run and get the samples I made. But yeah, I found it to be very labor intensive. You know, it's not something that,
Yeah.
you know, I can imagine you wanting to do if you start to really, you know, ramp up the volume on sales. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there really will ever be a ramp up on sales for this project, because it's these are I think some people really like to have it, but it's not like a humongous number of people. So at the moment I'm using also my kids to do it. It's child labor here. But my son wanted to have Oubliette 2021 for his own, so I bribed him with that, Dan. So he helped me cutting it, and you can see this is the printing sheet of a disc sleeve. Yeah, and I have to cut all these lines here, right? It's handwork, yeah. I like to do it at the moment, but if it really ramps up, but I don't believe it that it will really ramp up. That
I don't think it ever will. I think you're gonna sell like a few a week.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's a service, isn't it? You know, to people.
Yeah.
So you're not in it to make money, really. It's just another thing, you know, for the hobby and stuff. So
I'm going to show up.
I'm
going to show up the sleeves I made real quick. So this is the front and the back. It's very simple, but it, you know, it's kind of messy.
Yeah.
And then I progressed to a logo, but in black and white. And then I used the this is the care and handling from
Beagle.
No, I think it's like Nashua. It's one of the
Okay.
Or no, it's it might be Electronic Arts or something like that.
Okay.
It's a copy. They copycatted the Beagle Brothers one.
Okay.
And he did color. And you know, the same thing. But the
Okay.
seams, you know, I don't know what glue you use, but you know, you can't really see it that well in the camera, but it caused divots, and you know, because the glue dried unevenly. So yeah, it's not an easy task.
Yoo-hoo.
What is that?
Yoo-hoo.
Yoo-hoo. Yoo-hoo.
Yoo-hoo. German super glue. German super
Ah,
glue.
okay.
It's
So
Uh,
is
How do you
is that
say it?
cyanoacrylate?
no. It's a paper glue, a German paper glue, a famous one.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So it's German
Yeah.
engineering.
Yeah.
How do you say
We don't
yoo-hoo,
get that.
Mark? How do you say yoo-hoo?
Uhu,
Ooh.
uhu. Yeah. Oh, it's
There used to be an ad campaign. Don't say glue, say yoo-hoo.
Yeah, that's it. Yoo-hoo. He says it the right way. Look.
yeah.
Uh,
And we just came to this idea because I don't know if there's any floppy disk service out there for the Apple II at the moment. I have
Probably not.
No.
I wouldn't have even considered it. I mean, I've made this for people generally for free, or I say like, I'll just add, a few bucks to this order and I'll make you a boot disk or something, for the cost of the disk or whatever. But yeah, there's nobody out there doing that.
I know we are in the ages of CFFA, of booty cards and stuff like that, and emulators, floppy emus. But I have unplugged this shit, to be honest, on my Platinum 2E, and I'm using a dual disk at the moment, and I'm using floppy disks now again.
yeah.
So I got rid of my emulators almost. I don't know why, but I like the feeling having the real thing. Yeah. But yeah.
On my development machine, I have a CFFA and also a booty, but I think I'm using the CFFA as my main, like a hard drive basically. But I'm still switching between systems, on floppy, and I do have like certain floppies where I just have little projects going because it was convenient. I'd start on something and then want to save it and just grab a new floppy. So yeah, I kind of, there's cons and pros to each of them.
Yeah.
I use them both.
So, and you need to get this special collector's edition.
Oh, yeah.
Daniel
nice.
designed this witch trial label.
Very nice.
With a lady in the lovely Love Shack, right?
You guys did an awesome thing. The store looks really great, very professional, Mark, and I like the rundowns, and I like how you kind of have all the links, and I mean, it's very well done. It's just very, when you get in there, you get more than just the advertisement for the game. You get a whole education. It's very cool.
Yeah, I wanted to, another reason is my old website is running on Typo 3 and I cannot update it anymore, this site. And so Golombeck.eu is dying at the moment, and I need to switch to another service. So I set up this new Hugo site, 8bitcheck.org, and I want to transfer all content to this new site. And there will be a section technical stuff is it called, and this will be blown up more and more when I'm transferring stuff from Golombeck.eu to this new 8-bit check, because people already started complaining that the 3D code has been disappearing from my website, and they have been asking when I will put it up again. So I will transfer that stuff in the next couple of weeks from the old site. So this is also a reason why I set up a new site, and yeah. So the Typo 3 is also aged very well at the moment, and I will switch it off. Yeah. And besides all the technical documentation I did on my website, like for this is from the manual of ID2, where you can see here the technical background. I converted the things I have written on my old website to those manual like inlays or inserts for the floppy disks I'm producing. And for ID2, this is a 14-page manual which I'm delivering with it, where everything is explained how this algorithm works. So this should also be a unique selling position for getting a real floppy disk, because you get a full color manual with that, explaining how the software works. So this is also something which we try to make it more interesting for people or collectors to get it, to have it in their collection. Yeah. So that's what I've been doing. but I want to continue working on the old stuff from my old website. I want to rework and revise Dolores. This is another topic. What's going on in 2023? Dolores has been published in version 12 with the Sprite engine on the website, and this is the last version which was publicly available for downloading and getting your own Applesoft projects running. And then we took the library and we developed it for Witch Trial. This was version 13 of Dolores, and then we took it and further developed it for Angry Birds, which is version 14, which contains also some serious bug fix, which version 12 does not contain. So I was thinking about in the next year to upgrade Dolores and to take version 14, which is a specialized Angry Birds version, but update version 12, which can be used for Applesoft projects. So this would be project 2023, and also would or will go in a major rework of the website content. So yeah, this is something I want to do. And second, for next year is going back to the engine 3D. I want to take a new look on my 3D code from 2017. This was my first project ever in Assembler. After about 20 years, I did some stuff when I was a kid, but not real serious stuff. And so this code is not optimized and has many, let's say, problems, structural problems. And I want to revisit it and try to work on it and do a better version of the 3D engine. And maybe get something which you can use for making 3D wireframe games. I've been in talks with Michael Packard, you say maybe Michael Packard, and he's working on Trader Invader. It's a trading space game, or space trading game, and he's also interested in having a small plugin of the 3D engine for displaying wireframe ship models in his game. So this is also something maybe which you want to try in 2023. And so this is also a nice possibility to take out the old 3D engine code and work on it again. Yeah, make it faster, better, smaller. Yeah. So 2 new projects next year, not only 8-bit channel. Okay. Unless people will come and buy millions of discs. So
No, I'm sure they will, Mark. Anyway, many thanks for all that. We've got next up, we've got Lee, who wants to talk about something for 15 minutes. And then we'll
Wait a minute. Can I go first?
Yeah, sure, but Lee's got 15 minutes. If you could just leave that, you know.
Oh,
maybe-
I don't have to drop in 15 minutes. I can go after Sellam. I didn't know how much time we had allocated.
Well, I've scheduled it for a couple of hours, so it started at 8 o'clock. So we probably finished in about 3/4 of an hour.
Cool.
Yeah, in 3/4 of an hour. So
Go
if you
for it,
guys
Sellam.
would like to split that time.
Well, mine's not going to go that long, so I just wanted to squeeze it in real quick. It's just a little, like I said, a gimmick.
Okay.
Can you? So
Yeah.
Let me do a test here. Can you hear me now?
yeah.
Yeah.
There's no delay. Okay, I thought there was a delay. All right, because I've been having weird computer issues over here. So let's see here. Sorry, I wasn't even ready to go. Give me a second here. Okay. Two images. Now, I think who here does not remember when I broke the sound barrier in Applesoft? Do you guys remember that project I did where I was able to generate sound in Applesoft programs without machine language?
Yeah. I remember that.
Who doesn't remember that?
I don't think I'm familiar with that.
Okay, so let me go over that real quick.
Mark, I dig your glasses.
Thank you.
Okay, let me share
Mark,
screen. Yeah, you look like where is that?
I need some booze.
you do.
I'm waiting until it gets a little later in the day. All right, sorry, I'm having problems here trying to find my win. Oh, there it is. Sorry. Okay. All right, let me know when you can see my screen.
I do.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yeah.
So the best way to, I'm on this really crappy keyboard right now. My keyboard, I spilled water on it yesterday. I fell asleep at my desk and I woke up in a start and a cup of water was right in front of the keyboard and spilled all over the keyboard. And it's like a mechanical type one. And anyway, I've tried drying it out overnight and it's something weird is going on. So I'm using this crazy flexible keyboard. I'll show it to you later. So sorry that I'm going to have to be typing slowly here. And making errors probably. Let's see how this goes. So I wrote this program. I'll just show you the latest version. Let me run it. There's a way I can, hang on a second, stop the share and let me restart it because I just noticed there's these advanced options where you can show a portion of the screen and content from a second camera, which is pretty cool, but I want to share the audio stereo. Oh, that's all. Okay, never mind then. So yeah, that's fine. So I'm gonna go back to basic, share the screen, and then I need to share the audio. Wait, what happened? Come back. There we go. Where's the option for sharing the audio? Oh, there it is. It's disabled. You can't. Well, I don't know, Daniel, if there's a way for you to,
Daniel can probably.
yeah, if you can enable sound sharing. Otherwise, we'll just unfortunately have to do a demonstration that revolves around sound without sound.
You won't be able to pick it. It won't pick up through your microphone.
It might. Let's try it that way. It's probably gonna, for the real reason why I wanted to show this, it's probably not going to work well, or you won't be able to hear it. Maybe, but let's see how it goes. This, or first let me leave this. So what I'm doing. So okay, let me go to through the background first. What's going on here? Oh yeah, that's right. This stupid emulator doesn't use delete properly. All right. Anyway, so I've had this fantasy of, this is my ultimate goal right here, is to be able to do this. I want to be able to set up a function to generate sound. Let's call it N. And then, but what is it going to be, right? And so I want to be able to use it so like whenever you do something like, this, but you put in some kind of value, it'll produce a tone of that value, and do it purely in Applesoft. So that's kind of my goal, is to create a function that you can then use and as a tone function. So whenever in fact, it should be, instead of S for sound, call it like TN for tone. You can't call it tone because the 2 is a preserved word. Anyway, so the idea is to create a sound command in Applesoft Basic. So what I stumbled upon after playing around with redirecting the screen output is and so that kind of came from the whole SHLAM method, which I modified and called the Sellam method, which is to print the it prints out data directly into memory by redirecting the output of the screen output, right? So instead of going to location 1024 in decimal or 400 in hex, instead of printing there, you would print, when you set the vector so that it prints into memory somewhere. So for example, you could say like poke 40 comma 0 and poke 41 comma 3. So that's going to be 300 hex, which is 768 decimal. And I'll say print hello. And then, so if I go into the monitor now, you can see that at that address, there's hello. C8 is H, C5 is E, etc. So I redirected the output to memory by, and then I could print directly into the memory. So I adapted that technique to mess with the speaker port, because on a real machine, but not the GS apparently, when you access all of these locations from C030, which is the speaker, to C03F, they're all tied to the speaker, right? So you could take advantage of that by printing to that location, C030, and then every time it stores a character there, if it thinks the screen is at C030, so it's going to poke a byte there, then it's going to advance the memory address to C031, and it's going to poke another byte there, depending on whether it's a printable character or not, or whatever. But ultimately, any printable character is going to hit the address, which is going to cause a click from the speaker. Every other access, though, so like when you hit C030, it'll click, but when you hit C031, it won't. And then when you hit C032, it will click. So, but if you do that too fast, then it's going to generate just a real, you're not going to hear anything really, right? Anyway, the point is that you can print you could set the output vector to print to the speaker port, and then and then print out patterns of characters so that you can produce sound. And the way that I accomplish that is is using the backspace, right? Because you only have 16 addresses in this range, which means you can only print 16 characters, and then it starts writing into other memory that you don't want, or ports and soft switches and stuff that you don't want to mess with, because it's just going to kind of crash the machine. But you want to be able to play a long enough length of tone, because if you only hit the that address really quickly, as I just did, like, I don't know if you can hear, let's see if you can hear it. I'll turn up my volume as much as possible. And so the emulator doesn't emulate it right, but if you can hear, this is what happens. I don't know if you heard that little blip, but you kind of get that effect if you do it on a real Apple II. It's just not as, not like what it sounds on this. Now, here, let me show you the quick little gimmick that I was going to show. And then I'll get back to the discussion of the sound barrier, which is what that's called ultimately. So blip 2, and this is what I sent to you, Daniel. Oops, that's not it. It's just blip. Okay, so this is the simplest little app program to generate sound using this technique I just described. Did you guys hear that? I don't know if you can hear that. It's like a little chirp sound. It's very, very light chirp. And because what it's doing here is it's redirecting the output, the locations 40 and 41. It's redirecting the output to the speaker port, right? 49200 or C030 hex. And then it's just using the space function to print out 16 spaces. And so all it's doing is it's just hitting that, address range very quickly, and generating basically eight clicks in a very quickly. So it's creating a nice high pitched blip sound. And so that's basically, that's the idea. But if you want to prolong it, right, if you want to make a longer tone, because see, as soon as if you just print a character, or you print a series of characters, that's the best you're going to be able to do, right? You can only get a blip. Well, okay, well, what if you're able to introduce pauses into it by having it print control characters, right? Non-printable characters, because then it'll be printing the non-printable characters, which it doesn't print, right? It skips. So that introduces a pause. But another way you could do it is with the backspace. And the advantage of using the backspace is character is that you now have an literally infinite a length of tone that you can be generating. And then also, as I've been thinking more recently, you can also start to you can do all kinds of fun stuff and inject different waveforms into it. And what I'm trying to see if it's possible is to actually generate some kind of digitized speech from a text string in BASIC. So, but that's something, that I haven't started on yet, but just a theory. But anyway, so that's what what I call the sound barrier does, which is also in this piano keys program. Let's see what the name of it is. Piano keys 4. So let me run it first. I think this is the right one. Oh, okay. So it's the machine language sound generator. So what it's doing right now is it's creating these super long strings based on just a loop that automates it. So this is it speeds up as it goes along because it has to anyway, it's the way the code works. Okay, so there we go. So now I have it set up so okay, so there's the basic tones that are being printed to the speaker port. Let me do that again. Okay, so I'll show you those strings in a second, but this is the latest version that I wrote that allows me to use the arrow keys to change the pitch. And so you can get a lot nicer sounding tones out of this if you adjust the pitch. And depending on where you adjust it to, so here's like more of a ringing sound. But then you get this funky kind of bassy tone to the higher notes. So anyway, it's fun to experiment with this. So basically, when it starts the program, let me put it into 80 column mode here. Can you guys still see that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see here. And I apologize, Lee. I thought this presentation would be short, but it's almost done.
You're fine, man.
Okay. Where does it set up the tones? Oh, 500. No, wait. Yeah, here's where it's setting up the tones. Okay. So I forget what this is doing, to be honest with you, even though I was looking at it again the other day, but well, I reacquainted myself 90% with it because there's something other else going on that I think is actually a bug that I overlooked in the original implementation. But anyway, so I'm still improving on this to be able to produce, actually I came up with a new scheme for the setup, the tone setup. So you saw in the beginning of the program, it said it was setting up tone 1 and tone 2, and it took forever. So I've thought of a better way to do that. That's way more optimized. That will only involve a little bit more code, really an insignificant additional code, and we'll cut that down by probably 90%, the initial setup time. But what it's doing here is this is that initial setup time. It has multiple nested loops where it is basically assembling the string that is going to be printed to the speaker port that has a bunch of backspaces in it. So you can see up here in line 520, I'm creating a string of backspace characters, eight backspace characters, or I'm sorry, 16 backspace characters in one big string. And that, because I'm using that, you can see down in line 570 at the end there, I'm doing a left string, so what I'm doing is I'm grabbing as many backspace characters as I need to backspace back to the 49200 C030 address, so that I can keep banging the speaker port over and over and over again with one long print statement. Because if you this is what I thought I was failed to complete earlier. If you don't, if you just print a bunch of character, what am I trying to say here? You can't print like one string and then have a semicolon or a plus sign and then another string or whatever. You can't do that because it's going to it doesn't generate the string all at once in Applesoft somewhere. It's interpreting it. So there's going to be like a break at some point, you know, if you try to string multiple strings together. So the best you can do is stick everything in one big, you know, maximum length string, which is, you know, 256 characters. And so what this is doing then is it'll print a the string will have a printable character, so it'll bang the port, and then will backspace, you know, and then print a character, backspace, print a character, backspace. So that'll be like the highest pitch tone. And then the next time it loops around, the next string, you know, A string 1 or 2 will have you know, will be like character, backspace, backspace, character, backspace, backspace, and etc. The next one will be character, backspace, 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 etc. So you have so there's no attempt yet to create any kind of you know, proper scale so that you can actually make music with it, although that is also planned. But for the time being, I'm just trying to get a optimized algorithm for, you know, generating sound. And another thing that will be possible as well is creating multi-frequency tones using this method as well, because you could do like character, control character, that, you know, non-printing character, a bunch of non-printing characters maybe, and then character. And then, you know, so you basically within this, but you have to do it within that range of 16 addresses where you can hit it at different patterns. And so you're effectively going to be creating 2 frequencies playing out at once. So anyway, or not, maybe, I don't know, but that's something I think should be possible. So if I were to show you one of these strings, so let me print, I think it's in the, is it A string that has it? Yeah, I think. Oh, wait a minute. Well, let me just see what it said. What I see here. Let me go. A minute.
Isn't it a bunch of spaces and backspaces? Will it actually show anything?
Oh, is it spaces? Oh, yeah, I used a space character. Duh. Okay, so that's not what I want to do then. What I want to do is here with this, I know what I want to do. X equals 1 to 16. Or no, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah, that's right. It only goes up to 12. For to 250. 0, 1. Anyway, 5.
If you're gonna do a mid string, it's base 1.
Right. But for the array, I can't remember if I used, or for the array variable itself, it could be up to 256 characters. And so the what am I doing here?
I think this
Yeah.
is A string X, A string sub X, right?
Right. A string X, comma, Y, comma 1.
I think it needs to be Y plus 1. That's what I was saying, because indexing into the string is going to be.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yep. You're right.
Yeah.
Closed. Let's just do it that way. And then next Y, and then wait. 2, 8, 1, 6, 8, 0. Next. Okay, here we go. Off. Hang on a second.
Sellam, what does wait? But you know what does that do? Wait.
That waits on the keyboard to have a key press.
Right.
But so what it's doing, it's so okay. So the wait command it monitors an address until a specific bit pattern. I forget how it does. I think it's an XOR. So by saying making the parameter 128, it's waiting for the high bit on location 49152 to be set, which means a key is waiting, it has been pressed.
Right. Is it okay? Is it okay if you just leave that on the screen? Because I just need to take a picture of that because that's something I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I don't know what the illegal quantity error here is though.
I think it might be in the Y+1.
Oh yeah, it is. You're right.
255. Yeah.
Well, it's not so here. Hopefully that'll fix it.
That could fix it.
Oh, for fuck's sakes. 0 to 254. Mid string, A string, X, comma Y+1, comma 1. Next Y. Next. I don't get it.
I don't see it either.
Ah. Okay, the variables are still there.
Oh,
I know what it is.
Check the length. Yeah. That's a
0.
problem. I wonder if something cleared, like you did something that cleared memory.
Yeah. Well, here, let's do this then. Give me a second. Let's do let's have it say well, anyway, I don't want to belabor this at this point. You could it's basically just assembling a space and then a certain number of S string, let's see, S string X. Oh, I don't know. But anyway, you get the idea. So that's something I'm working on. But again, the gimmick was the blip thing, which is fun, because you can, again, it's fun to be able to generate a sound other than the system bell from just purely Applesoft, which is, again, kind of a little side hobby of mine. This is something I'm working on here too, where so towards my ultimate goal of being able to create a function to generate sound, right? That you can just call in your basic program. I'm trying to figure out a way to call a function that will hit where I can that will result in where I can change the address of where it's going to get whatever it's trying to do to the speaker port to where it's going to hit the speaker port, from C030 all the way to C03F. And that's what I'm having trouble figuring out. And so this is just all this program is doing here is just searching for variables after the Applesoft program and then changing their address to the speaker port as I was experimenting with that idea. And then I think this is just an advanced. Yeah, this is looking for now. So my next idea. So at first I was thinking, okay, if I have a string like A string, and then if I add A string to B string, but then I point A string to the speaker, then it's going to load, a bunch of bytes starting at C030 based on the length that the variable information tells it the basic interpreter it is. But the problem there is as soon as it hits like a 0 or something from between, when it's reading from C030 to C03F, it's going to terminate, right? And it's going to stop copying characters. Or I think if it doesn't find like a valid ASCII string character somewhere between the range of 64 or 40 hex to whatever for the alphabet. And anyway, so that didn't work. So in the next one I was thinking, okay, well, arrays, if I can somehow manipulate the arrays, the string array space and change the pointers around to, again, point them to C030, so that basic is basically reading from that address range. Then, you know, so anyway, I was trying to think of doing it with arrays, but I don't think it's going to work with arrays either. So that's kind of what I'm doing here, just experimenting with that. So I still haven't cracked that code, but if anyone has any ideas, I'd love to hear them as far as, you know, a function that you can call, because again, it has to be able to be in the function definition, and call it F. So it has to be some sort of function that you can call to where when that function is called, it relies on pointers in memory that you can move and point at the speaker and have it just read or write to that range without regards of what the data is. You know, it's gonna be a fixed number of addresses that it's going to read.
I see that we need to switch, but I wanted to throw in an idea. I don't know how that works in combination with a window, but can you control and limit the number of characters to be printed in from C030 to C003F by using the window? And maybe do a 16 by 1 window.
Yeah, I've experimented with that as well. With you know, not the results I wanted. The problem with that is, let me see here. I can't remember how fully I tested that, because one thing is to see, you know, if you make the screen with 3 characters, right? So that means you could put up to 5 lines, because it's going to, you know, that's 15 characters. And that will stay within the speaker range. So every carriage return, you know, requires a little bit extra cycles, and so it's going to create, you know, a cadence or a frequency by doing something like that. Or, you know, and you can adjust it to 4 lines, but 4 characters by 4 lines, that will fit in that memory range. But that, you know, it's very limited in that regard, you know. But yeah, it is something I messed around with a little bit, and but that still may well be part of the solution eventually. I don't know.
I would think that the carriage return would drop you into the wild west.
You're right. You know what it'll do is it's going to recompute based on
the base. Yeah.
Yeah, I forget. Yeah, that's why it doesn't work that way. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Is it okay if I just interrupt you, maybe, because Lee's only has.
I'm done. I hope you enjoyed that. It's kind of been fun.
Yeah, we definitely did. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's super cool. You're always getting Applesoft to do stuff that I wished I could make it do back when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's kind of my you know, my what do you call it, pastime. One of my favorite pastimes is making Applesoft do ridiculous things.
It's like whenever you're talking, I feel like I'm reading the Beagle Brothers ad and
well, that was a big inspiration for sure. Yeah. I learned a lot from those.
Do you have any of this up somewhere?
Not right now, but I'll be happy to share it. Just let me know, anybody who wants it. In fact, yeah, just email me, or it's best to email me, because I don't. Oh man, this keyboard. I'm putting it in the chat room. Because I don't log onto Facebook very often, and so if you want a copy of the image as I have it right now, just ask. I'll send it to you. But I don't want it to be widely distributed yet until I've, you know, figured it out. I don't want somebody much more clever than I to one up me, and I'll be like, ah, damn it, that's the way to do it. I want to figure it out on my own. So yeah, thank you.
Sweet. Cool. Thanks, Dan. I'm gonna start a timer for myself, and then yeah, we'll see how far I can get. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I thought I could share. I have like a couple of virtual desktops, but Zoom is only letting me share one. So I'm gonna share this, and can you all see a Finder window?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna kind of go the choose your own adventure route. And I have three topics. here. One is the Game Boy Tetris, which, you know, I could talk about all day long. It was so much fun to build, but I did talk about it the last time we did this. The next one, these aren't actually in order. The next one is probably Logo, which I re-implemented in Applesoft because I was bored one night. And then somebody asked for the source code. And so I spent a bunch of time this morning actually making it more user-friendly. And so I can talk about that. Or Klondike Solitaire. This one I posted, I can't remember which Facebook group or groups I posted it to, but I basically wrote a quick Applesoft, not quick. I wrote this really crazy, stupid, complex Python script that parses Applesoft and tries to optimize it for you. And Mike, when you were, is Mike? So yeah, Mike, when you were presenting on your Sokoban clone, it made me think about that project. So maybe we can talk about that, but I want to kind of open it up to the group.
I'm interested in the logo myself.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. That felt like democracy in action here, the democratic process. All right, so let's jump into Logo. Go into color mode.
Wow, only 12 sectors, not bad.
Man, it's hard to type when you're presenting for some reason.
I'll show you my keyboard afterwards and you can see why it was hard for me to type.
So this runs incredibly slow. I've done no optimization. All my subroutines are at the end of the program because that's what I grew up doing. I didn't learn that subroutines actually call faster if they're at the beginning of the program until much later. So I'll just list this real quick and then cut to the chase. There's a few comments in there that tell you kind of where stuff is. If you're curious about how the program works, you can download it from I think it's posted to the Apple II enthusiasts group, but I can certainly add it to I can share it to the Call-151 group. So if we run this thing, I'm not accelerated right now. I'm running at 1 megahertz. But there's this handy help screen. I added this morning. You can see this isn't the full logo. This is a subset of logo commands. And when I did a search to see which commands I wanted to add, I was shocked at how comprehensive Logo as a language has become over the years. When I was a kid, these were pretty much the commands that I learned in grade school. So I kind of stuck to the main ones. There's probably a short version of set pen color, but I just left it at this really long one. All these other 2-letter commands, there are actually long versions of those that are supported by the real Logo language. Like you could type the word forward followed by the number of units.
I thought pen color might have been like PC, but I might be mistaken on that.
It might be.
Yeah, that's also what I have in the back of
showing
mind.
how little actual research I did to build this.
Just really as a quick aside, as a quick suggestion, I would have added also the ability to do procedures. Although I don't know how complicated that would have been.
Well, I thought about adding procedures. So basically, letting adding the ability to store little routines and then call those, and then you can actually have your procedures call other procedures, and then you get into some more complex, logic. I was pretty happy with the fact that I got repeats to work, and you can do nested repeats. And using that routine, I thought actually it wouldn't be that hard for me to add procedures. But the reality was I don't think I want to take this any further than it is.
Right.
It was just kind of fun. So I'm going to type in the example program here. And it's not doing anything on the screen right now because we're in text mode. But if I hit return, it actually toggles to graphics mode. If you hit return again, it goes full screen graphics. And if you hit return again, goes back to text, so you can just kind of cycle through all the modes. you'll notice part of the example is there's a G, so G repeats the last command. So if I go back into graphics mode and hit G, you'll actually see how slow it is at drawing. And I can actually hit G.
Hey, put the turtle down.
Oh, I actually can't do that. I can do this.
Ah, no
Sorry.
turtle.
That would be like procedures. Then G would almost be like a procedure. GG doesn't work. So if I go into full speed mode, so this is an emulator that it remembers the last command as being G now. Great. So I go back here, repeat for forward 40, right 90, and you can see it's actually pretty forgiving with spacing.
Yeah.
So if I go back into graphics mode and hit G a bunch of times, it does that. I can do.
That's even faster than Logo back in the day.
Yeah, if you jack up the emulator speed.
Yeah.
So I did a clear screen. I can do help, and then it sort of goes back to text mode, and I can see that example. Here's where I can do nested. So let's see, what is 36 over 2 is 18. So I can do repeat 18, repeat 4.
Oh, nice.
50, right 90, and then right 20. I think this will do it. Yeah. You can do that.
Well, that's kind of what we just saw, though. But I mean, it shows that it does, nested repeats, I guess, which is nice.
Yeah. It does the nested repeats. If I do clear screen, man, I wish I had more interesting examples. Oh, actually, there is an interesting one that I can copy from.
I'm actually curious seeing it do what it, in real time. I want to see how it does like a nested repeat like that in real time.
Oh, no, you don't. I would run out of presentation time.
Oh, okay.
Let me search real quick. Oh man, my screen's covered with stuff. So Apple II enthusiasts and whoops. Search for.
Sorry, Lee, I just missed a little bit there. Is that actually written in completely Applesoft?
This program is written in completely Applesoft, but it is very, very slow. So here, I'll just show you. Here, this is actually a good example of the speed. So we'll do this program, 16, pen down, repeat, 5, set up, pen color.
Well, there's all your, that's why it takes so long, is to parse set pen color.
Yeah. Set pen color 3, repeat 5, forward 40, right 72, right 36. Oh, geez, that was really fast because I didn't slow it down. But here, let me slow it down.
Can you? You can repeat, right?
Oh, I can't. If I clear the screen.
That's so clever.
Okay. Yeah. So it's repeating now. Oh, and it changed the origin. But yeah, here you can.
There we go.
You can see how fast it is.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's not tremendously. I mean, it's a bit slower than the actual Logo interpreter, but well, maybe I'm being a little.
No, it's not that much.
Maybe I'm not being fair to the Logo interpreter. It's actually faster than that, but still, I mean, that's not terrible.
Yeah. If you wanted to sit through it, and watch it draw. So there's actually probably the biggest delay. Oh, I think it's going to error out. Yep, I drew off the top of the screen. So there's no error checking. So if you draw off the top of the screen,
well, that was one of my next questions.
But set pen color 5. Let's make it red. Repeat.
Oh, and you also don't have variables, I guess. So you can't do like loops or anything. Okay. Oh, come on, Lee.
Sorry,
no
Lee.
variables.
Sorry,
you just
Lee.
have a turtle.
It's actually written in Applesoft. It's not integer because you've got the integer cursor on the left-hand side. So
oh, that's just my Yeah,
Well,
that was just
the original Apple logo prompt, I think, also
Oh yeah,
was
there you
the.
go. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought.
But
you
yeah,
meant-
let's have a look see at the code here.
yeah. If you don't like the cursor, you can go into line 40.
So does it
Yeah,
actually do
I like it.
curves and stuff, I guess? I mean, I guess I just saw a circle.
Yeah. So that was one example. You just have
Yeah, do a
to
curve.
you have to kind of do it manually. So if I want to do a curve, let's say a 90-degree curve with 9
Oh yeah.
steps, because that's easy math. I can say forward, I don't know, 5. I don't want it to draw off the screen, and then right 10 degrees. And then at the end, maybe I just have it go forward 40. Oh, and now we're in there. Anyway, there's a curve.
So clever.
But do a circle real quick. I want to do it in real time so I can see it.
Okay. Oh, in real time? Okay.
Yeah. I want to be able to see how it does with the sine and cosine
Yeah.
being
Oh,
used.
it's not doing. Oh, yeah, it is doing sine and cosine, obviously, for the angles. So let's do forward 5, right 10 degrees, 36 times, and we'll get a circle.
Okay, yeah, it's definitely slow.
Yeah. I mean, I can also speed it up, right, by saying repeat instead of 36 times, I'll just do it 18 times. And then forward 10, right, instead of 10 degrees, it'd be 20 degrees. And now it's going to draw a circle just in fewer steps.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then you can
pretty
do kind of fun stuff like repeat, let's see, 18, forward. Actually, let's do a set 10. It's
Pick
one
up the
word.
spaces.
7 is white, 6 is blue. Forward, say 20, 30, 40. Let's be brave. Forward 40, set pen color. Let's make it white. I'm gonna turn left maybe 10 degrees and then go back 40, and then I'm gonna say right 30 degrees. I don't know what this is gonna do. I hope this does something interesting.
Me too. Oh, it's making a star. That's cool. It's gonna run out of screen though. Or maybe not.
I wasn't patient, but anyway, yeah. So there you go. It's Applesoft Logo, sort of.
So a lot of that was the program interpreting, and then because the drawing was once it got to the draw part, that was quick, but it was parsing is what it takes most of the time.
Yeah, the interpreter I'm actually pretty happy with. So if you look here,
What kind of data structures did you implement, like stacks or?
Yes, there's definitely a stack for the repeat, and so essentially what I do is I record the repeated chunks of code are just strings. The whole thing is a string, and then I break it down into substrings, doing a bunch of parsing, looking for brackets. But at the end of the day, 4,000 you can think of as almost like the main loop. So if we jump down to 4,000, whoa, we passed it. Never mind. I'll list it again in a second after I get to the end. Basically, line 4,000, that subroutine is responsible for the primary functioning of parsing out the string. And then here are all the supported commands. Here, let me do this. There we go. So yeah, obviously the fail, I'm out of time. I used up my 15 minutes. The fail case is, empty string. Otherwise, essentially, I'm looping through all the commands that got parsed out from line 4,500, which is the command parser. So I call the command parser, essentially break the line down into tokens and subcommands like the repeats. And then I find the index of the command that was parsed, and then I jump to one of these subroutines depending on the command. And so these subroutines are in the same order as that list of commands that you saw at the very end in the data statement. So if you wanted to add a command, like if you really are inclined to make this behave more like real logo, you would add another command to the end here. You would add another command to that on go sub statement in the line 4000 subroutine. And then there's actually a small, I don't like this, it's not super clean, but in line 30, you would have to increment the CC, which is basically the command count. I could have made it infer the number of commands, but I didn't because I'm lazy. But that's
You could
it.
have
That's-
it, you could, at the beginning of the data statement, what I like to do in that case is I put the number of, it's not as clean either, but I put the number down there in the data statement.
yeah.
So that you start it with, whatever, 10, and then.
You would just
so that
remember
it's-
to update that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, it would be in one place. It would be in the one place, so you don't have to remember, oh, I got to update it here and there.
Exactly.
Right.
Or I could just say like 0 and sort of have like this token that represents the end. But then I would dimension, basically I would need to dimension my command array to be larger than I expect it to be.
Well, I mean, to do it, like properly, I would say you would read them all, count how many there's going to be, reset the
clear, and then read it.
yeah, clear, yeah, do it clear, and then
wait, no,
and then
you can
do the
do it clear.
dimension.
Because then I would lose my variable.
No, I'm sorry, not clear, but no, there's a way. How do you there's a way to reset the data pointer. I forget.
Oh,
what
I can do. Can you just reset the read? Really?
Yeah, you could reset it back to the beginning. I thought, right? You do.
And
It's not.
a command. Oh, what is it?
How come nobody can remember that? Hang on, I've got the
I can't see
Applesoft
it.
manual right here.
Oh, no, what is
Beat
it?
you to it. Restore.
Restore. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you redo a restore. Puts the data pointer back to the beginning, and then you could dimension and then read them over again.
And then I don't have to have the count written anywhere, and I don't have to have a
Nope.
token at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I would still need the token at the end. That's true. Cool.
Because what you what you can do in that case is you do a
On
a
an
temporary error go to, and then when you read the when you run out of data error, or I mean out of data error, then you yeah.
Yeah, I know that there's bugs with on error. I use it every now and then. I actually did use it as part of logo to capture sort of like the illegal quantities if you draw off the screen, or if you Control C because you're tired of waiting for your thing to draw. But then I figured like there's probably too much stack weirdness that I'm doing where you'd probably get an out of memory pretty quickly.
Well, let me tell you about that real quick, because as a kid, I wasn't entirely clear on how all that worked. I knew that there was a routine that you would write that would correct the pointers, because the problem is when there's an error during a go sub, and so you have to fix the stack manually. And so when I was developing the Greasy graphics editor, it was all in Applesoft, and it had an extensive error catching system, which works actually very well. And I think it worked for Dan one time when he was in the middle of, or might have been something I was working on. But anyway, I remember it triggered and it was a rare instance. But at any rate, I had to play around a lot with that, and it does work if you use that routine, and you're just mindful of any other conditions that might show up. But it's just I think it really comes down to there was just a bug in the stack handling when you got an error inside a go sub, which can be corrected.
Yeah, I think I know exactly what that actually was. Like if there was an error in the editor, it put you out on the end, and it said, "Oh, it's okay, everything's in memory still. You just have to do be save whatever value, blah blah blah." And that's actually saved me a couple of times because I have a full set that I hadn't actually saved and stuff, and you actually did an on error thing, and I
Oh,
saved
good.
that too. Yeah,
Yeah,
remember
so
that.
yeah, so what happens is once in a while, and I'm not sure what triggers it, because it's very rare, but you know, the program will crash. And but and the problem with that is I knew, you know, that Dan would be working on a masterpiece at some point, and then it would crash and it'd be like, oh no, we got to be able to, you know, rescue the data that's in memory, because when it crashes, it just, you know, errors out to basic for some reason, but the data is still there and it catches it. And so it prints an error screen. It says there's been some kind of, you know, catastrophic error, but don't worry, your data is still safe. Issue this command and it'll save it to disk, and then you can go back and load it. So it just gives you basically a B save instruction that tells you exactly what range of memory to B save, and then when you run the program over again, you can load it right back and you're fine. So yeah, I don't know again why and it's like it's happened to you once maybe, Dan?
That's probably happened to me maybe 3 times, however, but
3 times, yeah. So
usually, you know, there's like an hour and a half of sort of work there that I'm thinking, oh shit, you've lost it, you know. But then it comes out to that, and you beat.
I'll have to go back through the code and look at and see if maybe I'm doing any kind of a lot of string manipulation. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I know I was doing string manipulation in there when I had the let's see, but the file name routine, I don't know if I ever wrote it in BASIC. I think it was always in machine language. Or no, it used to be in BASIC.
Yeah.
And I think maybe if you're doing a lot of saving and loading on the original no. Because see, I added the machine language version very late, like before I released it. After Kansas Fest, I released it a week later, like on the day, because I was like, it's just still not ready. I want to be perfect, and I don't want errors. And I think that's when I added the machine language file name routine instead of doing an Applesoft routine, because when you do that in Applesoft, you know, you're creating and destroying string variables over and over and over again. It starts filling up memory. And it might have been that after saving and loading, you know, multiple times, you know, different data sets, that, and because the program itself is so big, and because, you know, the memory is it's limited by the Greasy Graphics engine, you know, you have to do a high mem and blah blah blah. So I think it probably just runs out of memory with that version. And so I don't think it shouldn't happen anymore with the release version. Right. Is my guess. But then you've been using the release version for a while now, and that's probably when it happened. So I don't know.
It does, but it's not only you. Like it sort of happens on an awful lot of things, and you know, sometimes you've invested like hours into something, and it crashes, and there's no way of recovering the material. But if there was like a simple,
see you later, Lee. You left.
Right, exactly like that, really, that comes up on the screen and says, it's okay, you don't need to panic, you don't need to turn it off, just, you know, do like a B save and it's okay.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, right, you know, thank fuck for that. So
well, I'll have to look through the code and see where it might be, you know, plugging up memory and then it can't recover once it fills it up or something like that.
Yeah.
But with Greasy 2, I'm actually going to rewrite the whole editor in machine language, so it's going to be nice and fast all around, and much better experience.
Right, I think I'm going to have to bring this meeting to a close, you guys. Many thanks for attending, but I've got to go off and do my Father Christmas bit now. So
yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thanks for banking it out, everybody. This was cool. I enjoyed it.
No problem. So we'll do another one in about another month or something. So
once every month, 6 weeks would be good.
Yeah, that's cool. Right. Thank you, everybody. Merry
All
Christmas.
right. Take care, Dan.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone.
Guys. Goodbye.